This is the Fifth Star Podcast. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Albert.
And this is a podcast where we're trying to find our next 5-star rated movie. And when we find that movie, this podcast will be abandoned on a remote island.
So in this episode, we are reviewing The Ballad of Wallis Island. And it's about a musician who gets mysteriously called to this remote island in Wales. Is that not what it's about?
Well, I just like how it's like he's called to by a siren. It's like convinced him.
He is commissioned to this remote island in Wales. And yeah, finds out that he is performing for a private audience. So, normally we go into, the fact that we write our scores, but I was wondering.
Oh, yeah.
If you could bring back any band to perform for a private meeting, a private gig.
Like Money's No Object?
Yes. Money's no object. Ooh. I would also say.
Do they have to all be alive?
Death is no object.
Oh! I mean, the Beatles.
Okay. I had a feeling you might say the Beatles.
Yeah, especially if death is no object.
Yeah. And the Beatles, I mean, they're probably considered the most famous breakup over similar to what this story is about, over some kind of relational tension and differences.
Yeah, and I feel like they shaped a lot of my high school experience. Like, I was obsessed with them. So that would be so cool.
Yeah. I think I would go, probably as you would have guessed, I'd probably go Queen.
Queen.
Yeah. I think if death was no object, I would want to really see Freddie Mercury perform. I know Adam Lambert is like filled in and they're still touring and all that, but I just don't think it'll be the same thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think if I could see Queen perform live.
Wow.
Yeah.
Game changer.
But I mean, I guess if we took death out of it, I don't know if you have one if you took death out of it, but I recently found out that a few years ago, Daft Punk officially broke up.
Oh.
Yeah. And
brutal.
Interesting. I don't know if these are just rumors or whatever, but it seems like one of the potential reasons that, because they have like their whole like robot persona.
Yeah.
And supposedly one of the reasons for the breakup was because of like the rise of AI and how the blurring of lines of
they can't prove
technology and all this stuff in music. And I think he was
too bad.
Yeah, one of the duo, he was saying like it just kind of went against like what they were all about. And at the end of the day, like they were on the side of humanity.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't want to like kind of feed into that narrative or be, representing the wrong thing.
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, but I think I just never saw them perform live, and now I kind of regret it. Yeah. So if I had infinite money.
I don't think I have any that are like where the members are all still alive.
Yeah.
I think I'm maybe too young.
Insane.
My bands haven't broken up yet.
One Direction.
Nah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is an interesting premise.
Yeah.
We secretly wrote down what we gave this movie on this whiteboard, and we like to guess what we think each other gave it. So we'll start with that first. I think you probably gave this a 3.5 out of 5.
Nice. I think you gave it a 3.
Okay. 3.0. So we will first do a spoiler-free review, and then we'll reveal our scores. What did you think of Ballad of Wallis Island?
I thought it was interesting because the characters were very unique. Mm-hmm. Tim Key's character was so odd that I immediately thought, have I ever seen a character like this on screen before? And it was weird because he felt real. He didn't feel like a caricature to me. Mm-hmm. But he was also just so odd. Like such an odd person. Like almost a character that you would see in a sitcom, except still grounded. I don't know. I'm not doing a very good job explaining that. But basically, I thought the characters were really intriguing. I do think the pacing suffered, though. The pacing, I I never knew like how many days it was until like the event was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And the timeline felt kind of unclear. And so it was hard to like know where we were at in the story. And that made it feel a lot slower.
So, I think with Tim Key's character, the important thing to note is that this is a British movie. And the humor is very British.
Yes.
And,
which I love British humor, so.
And Tim Key is totally playing that angle of it.
Super British.
Like, I would say to the max. Like, just as awkward as you can be. And, like, he just, like, never lets up.
Right.
I think, like, that's the essential part of, like, his character and how you read his character. Because I think the way the movie is trying to portray him is, like, here's this really salt-of-the-earth guy. I mean, yeah, like...
incredibly socially awkward.
Yeah, but maybe because he's just so...
isolated?
I don't know. I mean, he was living in society, right? But came into money. And now lives on this remote island. But, he's like... But to me, he was just really annoying.
No, and like that's the point.
Which is the point.
Because the main not the main character.
Yeah.
Herb was annoyed by him the whole time.
Yeah, the musician Herb. He was annoyed by him the whole time, and yet I think the point is that like, oh, but he's really not trying to be. He's just like this genuinely awkward person.
He's very awkward.
But I think I just couldn't really enjoy his performance because he was... And I'm not the biggest British humor fan, but I do appreciate some British humor, like original British Office. I like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. But here it was like, I think because he was like playing it to the max, where it was like you keep just beating that dead horse. Like they would take a joke and they would just keep hanging on it, and
or he had so many puns.
Yeah, and I don't mind some of the puns, but yeah, that's the part of his character that I really struggled with.
Yeah.
Was just how telegraphed all the jokes were and how
Yeah. I mean, I did too, but like I said, I think that really was sort of the point, at least for the first half of the movie.
Okay.
Is that you're just annoyed with him.
Yeah. And then, so you have Tom Basden playing the one half of the musical duo, and then Carey Mulligan's in this also, which I didn't know going into it because I don't watch anything.
Because I didn't tell you.
Yeah, you didn't tell me, and I'm glad that you didn't tell me, because when she comes into the story, it's like it breathes so much fresh air. Like I genuinely, for the first part of the movie, was like, oh no, is this whole movie just gonna be me having to like deal with Tim Key? So when other people showed up, I was like, oh, relief, thank God.
Wow. You're just like Herb.
Yeah.
You're just like the musician.
Yeah, I was definitely feeling what he was feeling. Yeah, so, and then for it to be Carey Mulligan of all people, I was like, yes, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought she was great in this. And yeah, like she brought so much more kind of depth to the story.
Yeah.
And I think we can say we kind of established what the premise was, right? Like, Tim Key's character, he gets a lot of money, and then it turns out that he got it from playing the lottery. But then he explains how he wasted all that money just, basically doing all the stuff you would normally do, making a lot of money all of a sudden. And then Herb goes, wait, so how are you still like have all this money? How are you still a millionaire? He played the lottery and won it again. So that's the whole joke, is like he won the lottery twice. Yeah, he decides to bring this band together that he loves, but they've had a falling out.
Yeah.
It really wasn't until Carey Mulligan shows up without him knowing that it becomes about how Charles was trying to reunite this group to play this last concert for him,
And there's a lot of existing tension, obviously, between them, and that creates like, I would say, the catalyst for sort of the plot. Yes. Or it's almost like a double catalyst.
Yeah, because the first thing is he's just thrown into the situation.
Yeah.
And he doesn't fully know what he's gotten himself into, but you kind of have an idea is a little off. Something's off here. But yeah, that really is what drives the tension of the movie. And that's when the movie really picked up and worked for me. And pretty much like any scene without Tim Key in it, I liked.
I'm a little offended just because I really like Tim Key.
I think that's kind of the crux of the movie. But what I find interesting is that this is based on a short film that they did in 2007, which they kind of reveal at the end. Did you watch the short film? So I watched it last night. It's actually up on YouTube, so you guys could see it. I guess we can link it on the show notes. But they're essentially the first act is the short. The short is more a comedy. It's just like this premise, and it's just Tim Key being funny. But yeah, the feature is more of like it's a kind of a heartwarming tale. It's kind of meant to be like this drama about
interesting.
Yeah, nostalgia and all these kinds of things, right?
I'll have to watch it.
In the movie, Herb is a little bit like he's already kind of a little bit of a sellout musically, commercialized himself, and he's kind of like stuck in this rut, and like that's kind of what he's going through. But in the short, he's like a true artist. So there are some minor differences.
That brings up like a question that I had actually, which is like, when does an artist become a sellout? Because obviously an artist has to make money at some point, right? If they want to remain an artist.
Yeah.
But like, at what point is it no longer art? It's just content.
The even question before that maybe is a singer who has a talent, recognizes that they have a talent, or like a songwriter, if they pursue a career for the sake of getting famous and making money, were they ever an artist?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What do you think?
I think if you're motivated just by fame and fortune, then you were always maybe a sellout in a way. Because if your goal wasn't ever about creating the art, then there's something lacking there. But I think if you're an artist who, we see this happen all the time with artists that we like or bands that we like, where they're really, really clearly grounded in something, their earlier stuff. And then slowly over time, it becomes less and less about the art and more just like, oh, I need to like put out an album and make money. And I mean, that happens even with like writers. Yeah. That happens with directors. That happens to a lot of artists. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see like, when do they become a sellout?
Yeah. And, not every artist, makes it big on their first album. Mm-hmm. But whatever their breakout album is, I always thought the hardest thing for them has got to be the follow-up album, right? Even more than the first album that they kind of made, them famous. Because everyone loved what you did in this first thing. So the strong temptation has got to be you just rinse and repeat and just do more of the same, right? Mm-hmm. But then at that point, are you even like making anything new? Are you creating anything of substance? Is it art? Yeah. Like, so is that the moment that you sell out if you give in to that temptation? But then you see people who do that, and then in the next album they do something totally different,
and then people get mad.
Everyone lashes out at them and go
it goes one or two ways. Either it's like amazing, wow, they're so innovative, or they're like,
I feel like it's rarely,
I like their old stuff better.
Yeah, I feel like it's rarely like that. I feel like it's rare that people see that shift as something like that's positive when they really like, and so I think when I've seen that done successfully, like I'm not a big Swiftie, but
I was just thinking that though.
Yeah,
she went from country to pop.
Yeah, but she's kind of exhibited like the ability to do this, but perhaps it's because she did it gradually. Yeah. Like she did it over many albums, over many like years. So you kind of like develop a certain style.
You warm people up to it.
Yeah. And then you kind of like get them locked into this thing. And then right before you start becoming stale and irrelevant, you like switch it up. But the switch is not so drastic. Yeah. That it makes it feel fresh and new, and then you kind of bring those old people along and grab some new people, and you keep doing that. She would do that. That's why you talk about like phases, right? And like each phase is multiple albums. But when I've seen like artists do it like quickly, like your first breakout album, your second album, you're doing something different, I think that's too soon, you know? Like you haven't really like established a following and a certain like set thing. But then...
Or a brand. You're talking about a brand.
Yeah.
Which I find so interesting because like an album ultimately is a product. And it is art, but it's also a product. And you're creating a brand around that product. So if your next album doesn't align well enough with your first product, you're now creating a dissonance, basically, for the consumer who's like, I like your original product better. And you're taking a step backwards, even though it's not meant to be like that. You know, like it's meant to be art.
Yeah.
But we don't view it that way. We don't think about it that way, right?
Yeah, I agree with you because like when we recently reviewed like Caught Stealing by Darren Aronofsky, like he's done so many films already.
Yeah.
And he definitely has a brand. Right? So
Style.
so then when he comes out with like a dark comedy, you're kind of like, what is this?
This
you know?
isn't what I paid for.
Yeah. But the thing is like he still did it really well, but it just isn't what you like have come to expect of him. So yeah, I don't know. Like, and I always thought it was respectable, and I always appreciated when filmmakers, when musicians like do switch it up.
Yeah.
Because it shows like, oh, they're growing as artists and they're wanting to try things new. They want to keep challenging themselves and having new ideas. And I think that's exciting, right? Yeah. And so, like, I always appreciate that. But, at the same time, like, it doesn't always work.
I agree.
And, like, that's kind of the risk that they run. So maybe the sellout point comes when an artist is no longer willing to risk anything.
Yeah.
Like
interesting.
Yeah. So if they're like, oh, if I kind of have this inspiration to try something new, but I might lose my fans or it might be a flop. And so they don't even try. They just stick with what's kind of guaranteed.
Yes. And actually, I think the movie kind of dives into that a little bit with how a producer's influence can really shape the course of your career. Yeah. Because the producers might be like, you have to go this route. Otherwise, you're going to fail. Or you have to... And I think that's sort of when you become like a sellout. I put that in quotes because it's not always true. But like if a producer is pushing you to... You have to do a pop song because that is what will make money... then it's no longer about your art. It's just about making money.
Yeah. Although I do think it's complicated when it comes to art and commercial success and money and all that kind of stuff because they are tied together.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, when does an artist become a sellout?
Yeah.
Like, that line is so blurry, right?
Yeah, because you have like, classical, like people who we look up to so much in terms of like painters and all this kind of stuff who had like patrons who like sponsored them and like and then so these artists are still catering to somebody, right? They're catering to some, whether it's like the person who's gonna buy their painting, like the masses, or like a patron who's like sponsoring them. Like you still got to keep somebody happy, right? And that's got to still like factor in a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you don't write a song or make a movie and not think for 1 second about how your intended audience might like this or respond to this, right? Yeah. I think it's okay for an artist to be mindful of like success or what might sell more or that kind of stuff. I don't know. So it's tricky, It
is tricky.
I think this idea that like an artist is like, ooh, I'm just gonna just do whatever comes, whatever I feel, and not care about anything else and just follow my muse. I think is like a very unrealistic like fantasy.
No, and I agree. And I think the movie did a good job of kind of showing how when you become more of a sellout, less of an artist, if we're to look at it as like a gradual thing, you do start to lose a part of yourself. And I think he kind of demonstrates that well, where it's like he no longer has a sense of who he is because he has sold so much of his identity, his brand, his likeness, whatever, his music to the industry. That like he does kind of like lose a piece of himself in that like spectrum.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking to our broader conversation, I think it's also true in the movie. I think perhaps the sellout moment is when you stop being true to yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Some people are really just gifted in a certain style, right? Like the way their voice is or the way their like artistic sensibility, whatever it is, that they do kind of stay in one
lane.
area, one lane.
Yeah.
And they just continue to do that the rest of their life. I don't think that's being a sellout if that's what is
that's true
coming
to who you
them.
are.
Yeah, and that's the inspiration that they're getting continually, right? But if it's coming from a place of following your inspirations, and you're open to those new things, even if they are kind of rehashed, you know, or still in the same space, it still can feel new and feel important and you know?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
That
so,
makes sense.
So you're still being true to yourself, but when you're going against who you really are because you're willing to, because you think it's going to give you more success.
Yeah.
That I think is a sellout. You're selling yourself out. You're selling your own perspective and your artistic style and all those things. Yeah. Where you just start trying to copy someone who's already famous. Right?
Yeah.
Which is maybe what he was doing, you know?
Yeah.
But
you're trying to stay relevant or something.
Yeah. But I do think this movie also raises something really interesting, which is like, what is music emotionally? Like, is music just a song, or is it like this emotional time capsule? You know, which I think is really an interesting theme also.
I think it is.
You think it's an emotional time capsule?
Yeah. I think it is. Because, like, there are songs that immediately put you back into a space, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of remember where you were when you first heard it, or maybe it was tied to your story somehow, like your first dance at a wedding, or a song your parents used to sing to you. Different things like that can kind of transport you back to those times.
Yeah.
And that is really cool how music works in our memory.
Yes. And this is very much like that's kind of the conflict between Carey Mulligan's character and Tom Marsden's character. Like I think that's what they're not seeing. They don't think about music the same way. Or maybe they do, but I don't know. Like it's that's kind of where the drama is,
she
right?
almost like can compartmentalize more. Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I think it's both. Like, I think music can do that. I certainly have songs like that.
Yeah.
Like my first dance, you know, at the wedding song. Like, whenever I hear that song, it'll always be my wedding song, right? And I will always think of my wife. Like, so I can understand that sentiment for sure. But I think there's other times that a song is just a song.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially if it had no impact on you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, like, you know, I don't have any strong emotional attachments to the song, so it's not really
triggering a memory,
imbued with all this meaning, you know.
Yeah.
And it is in a sense a commodity.
Yeah.
So even in like songs themselves, there is that element of, is it a commodity or is it like some kind of does it have some deeper meaning, you know? Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting part of the movie also.
Yeah.
Okay.
You never turned your board around.
Oh.
It's okay.
I'm such a hypocrite. Oh my gosh. It also was interesting that so Carey Mulligan, her mom is actually Welsh, and the house that they were filming in, Charles's big house, is actually in the town that Carey Mulligan's mom was born in.
Oh.
So that's kind of cool. Like, she has this, you know,
little connection.
Yeah, like even though she wasn't part of the short or anything, like she came on board for this and has those kind of personal connections. But she's also married to Marcus Mumford, the lead singer of Mumford and Sons.
Yep.
So I didn't know that until I did research for this.
What?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, so that's so cool to
They've
see.
been married for so long.
Oh man. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool that she's like, she's playing a role that very much is like her life in some way,
Yeah.
It mirrors her life in such a
Married to a
in
musician.
many different ways.
Yeah.
Has family from Wales and so yeah, it was interesting, even like the line between reality and art and but yeah, she was so good in this. Like
Yeah, she's always so
yeah,
good.
she's always so good. She feels so like genuinely like real as a person. Yeah, and the kind of struggles that she's going through, like it's done in a way that's like kind of subtle but very like understandable and relatable. So yeah, I thought she gave a really great performance too. Okay, do you want to reveal?
Yes.
All right. So you thought I would give it a 3.0 out of 5, and I gave it a 2.5. Oh, you gave it a 3.0. Wow. I thought you would be. I thought. Okay, so
you were talking about it like you liked it more than that. So
well,
interesting.
most of the movie, I was actually at a 2.0.
Yeah.
The
I mean, the
humor-
pacing was so slow that I was like, he's not gonna like this.
Well, I didn't even mind the pacing because the whole thing is like they're on this remote island and it's silent, but when that silence is being filled with only Tim Keeg just going on and on, playing the same.
But you have to admit the pacing was really slow.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Oh.
It was really just the humor that.
Did you check the time?
No.
Oh wow. Okay, I did.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
That's surprising because you enjoyed the humor more.
It was
that
mixed. It was mixed. I was
Okay.
annoyed with Tim Key up until Carey Mulligan showed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was for me too.
Yeah.
That whole first part of the movie.
But some of his jokes made me giggle. Like the Dame Judy drenched.
I don't know. I don't think I think literally there were moments where I like hit my forehead. I was like, no, they didn't, because they would telegraph something.
Yeah.
And then like 2-3 seconds later, they would do it or say it. And then they would hang awkwardly and then like hit it again kind of sometimes. And I was like, oh
Or like
my
when
gosh, just. So I think the humor just.
But
if you guys like British humor, I think you would still really enjoy this.
He ended up becoming really endearing though. I thought.
Yes.
I really enjoyed him by the end because one, you uncover more of his backstory.
Okay.
And then you see how lonely he is.
Okay. I want to get into some of that, but would you recommend this movie?
To a very particular audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like who?
Like people who enjoy slow-paced, music-based movies.
Okay.
And maybe British humor.
I would say as long as you appreciate British humor and like heartwarming stories, I guess, I think you'll like this movie.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the reviews and like a lot of people found this movie very funny.
Yeah.
So I think that's very crucial to keep you on board throughout the movie. Because I do think the emotional payoffs do kind of work, which is why it went up a little bit at the end for me. But yeah, so that's kind of what I would say in terms of recommendation.
Yeah.
But if you don't enjoy British humor, I would say, yeah, you probably won't really enjoy this movie. Okay.
Anyway.
Spoilers, right?
It gets revealed that he's very lonely. He plays tennis by himself, so his serve is really good. But then
that was good.
He hasn't returned to serve in like 7 years. Is that what he said? And like, so you start to see how pitiful he kind of is. But despite that, he still has this sort of joy in his attitude and his demeanor. And so I really started to appreciate him for that. I really started to be like, wow, it's really cool that he is able to maintain kind of like a happy facade despite being lonely, and we learn he's grieving the loss of his partner. I don't know if they never clarify exactly what his relationship is to her.
So when he was listening, even that, like when he was listening to the Mortimer and Maguire like reconnecting and playing that song, he's like watching with like a tear in his eye. I was like, oh yeah, clearly like he like lost his wife or his girlfriend or whoever it was. So, but then they reveal it like way later in the movie. But Yeah, like I do agree with you. He does play a sympathetic character and someone who you do kind of like admire the fact that he's gone through this stuff and he's alone, that he's kind of made the best of things.
Yeah, he's still able to have a good attitude.
Yeah, and even like this whole thing he's putting together is not really for himself because you find out
Yeah.
he wasn't really a fan, but he became a fan because of his.
Because
we'll
of
just call
her.
it. Yeah, we'll just say it's his wife, right? His wife,
Marie.
Like, yeah, Marie. Like because she loved them, like he loves them, and then I guess in losing her, one of the ways he probably coped with it is playing her favorite songs over and over again because.
Yeah.
Songs are imbued with emotion
Yeah.
and it's like a way to kind of have her presence still, right?
And you find out like why he did it on that particular day. It was her death anniversary.
That's right.
So it's very it ends up being incredibly personal, which is cool for the main character. I would argue Herb is the main character, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
'Cause he's
good
the one-
for him to realize, oh, this guy's not a crazy, creepy weirdo.
Yeah.
He's just trying to do a memoriam, basically, for his dead partner or wife. Yeah.
Because like the moment that Charles thinks that Herb is about to commit suicide in the ocean and whatever. It's revealed that really he saw like a lantern out there, thinking maybe it was
probably Carey Mulligan's.
Yeah, Carey Mulligan's. And so he goes out and reads it, and it's really Charles's message to his dead wife.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's kind of it was a good catalyst for him to turn around and be like, okay, I'm just gonna still do the concert. And I thought kind of the best moment of the movie. Well, one best moment was when. Carey Mulligan and Tom Basden are speaking with each other when he's like kind of professing his love and playing that song for her. Like I thought that scene was so good.
It was.
Yeah, like the two of them, their performance was so good. The other moment that I thought was really good was at the end when Herb is playing the concert, and it's the same song he had just played with Carey Mulligan, and that was like their love song. But now he says this is a song about lost love. And then he starts playing it, and it shows a close-up of Charles's face. And then it kind of match cuts to, like, Tom Masden's face. And they have, like, the same look in their eye,
Interesting.
Where it's, like, in this moment, they understand each other. They understand the feeling of love lost.
Yeah. And I think he even says this is for you, Marie.
He does, yeah. To honor that and to honor her. But I think it's, like... It does that, but it's also his grieving song of, this past relationship that I had. It was real. Like we did have something genuine. It was real love, but it didn't work out. And she now has, a husband and is expecting a child. And so him kind of grieving, because the thing about what you were saying earlier, like, oh, was he just a sellout? He was, but I think it was more.
Or he starts to realize he is.
Yeah, but I think it was more that he was lost. Like,
yeah, he had lost himself.
Yeah, and
which is kind of what I was trying to say with the Spectrum thing, where he had slowly given away his identity towards being a sellout because I feel like his producers were kind of pressuring him to go that direction. Like, this is what sells, so this is what you have to do. And, like, if you want to be a big solo artist, this is the direction you need to go. And along the way, he forgot, like, where he had come from and had kind of allowed his ego to take over in a way.
So I think for me, I read it as when they broke up, he never got over it. And he's basically was just wandering. And so he didn't know what his sound would be. Like he like it was just left unresolved, and he was just trying to, I don't think he saw himself as a sellout, like, because he would defend, like, oh no, I still make music.
He didn't realize he was until Carey Mulligan pointed out.
Yeah, so I don't even think he was trying to do things to be like, oh, I'm gonna make money and I'm gonna take this approach or whatever. Like, he was trying to follow, be genuine as an artist, but because he has this unresolved emotional thing, like he can't move on, right? And so in the end, when he is able to take this encapsulated memory of this song and kind of reinterpret it as like, oh, this is a song of like lost love, and is able to like, through their short time together, have all that come up and then resolve it and move and let it go, is in the end when he can now be Chris Piner and be like an artist with a true sound, So
I think I agree. Like, that is very true.
Yeah.
But I think there is another element of you need people who know you or who knew the old you to point out things. So when she pointed out to him, do you want me to be honest, or do you want me to tell you that I like it? Because I think that was a great moment for her to kind of start pointing out, you're not doing this for you. You're definitely doing this just to make money. And like, this isn't who you actually are. And we kind of need our community to like point those things out to us, I think. And her words impacted his perspective. But I think also what you said is true. And I think both kind of like work together.
Yeah. I think I feel like even if someone did tell him the truth, like he wouldn't have been able to make the music that was that was true to who he was, because he can't get over that loss,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's like he has no place for that stuff to come from. He's like emotionally dead, right? He's kind of like closed himself off. And he kind of starts off that way. I think that's kind of like his character arc. Like he starts off as like this a little bit of not a diva, but like he's kind of like just annoyed by people, wants to be left alone.
Yes.
It's kind of the read on him. But in the end, like he does this kind of, very gregarious act of not only going through and honoring this memory, but he doesn't even take the money when he really needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and that actually, okay, I'm glad you said that, because I think another thing too is how much Carey Mulligan made him feel alive again. Because she was able to point out the good around them that he was blind to, I think. He started to warm up a lot towards Tim Key's character because Carey Mulligan was so warm towards him.
That's true, yeah.
And then same with the whole like island, Carey Mulligan, her just being such a loving presence kind of softened Herb a lot and kind of helped him to see that he had hardened himself, to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think that is due partly because he loved Carey Mulligan for sure. But I think it's also just, he almost loves the feeling that she gives off, though. In my view.
Yeah, I could see that. Like that's part of what he's drawn to about her, right? He like appreciates that about her, and yeah, and I think in friendships, relationships, like that is the thing that you see this thing that you admire in somebody, and then the more you're around them and stuff, it kind of rubs off on you, right? And you're like affected by that.
Yeah.
But without her in his life, like he doesn't have that.
Yes.
But I do think like in the movie is kind of communicating like she's not coming back into his life. Like they're
Which
done.
I was scared for a second. I was like, don't go there.
Yeah. And I'm glad. I think they did it really well in the final like concert where after he's singing for a while, you hear her voice just kind of come in a little bit, but she's not there. It's like he's kind of hearing her voice in his memory again. But it's almost like a goodbye song. So I think that final scene just did so much to tie all these things together, which is interesting because one bet off the another that we just reviewed last week.
Yeah.
Much better done movie overall, but it kind of faltered in the end for me where it didn't tie up these themes well. Whereas this movie is the opposite. Most of the movie I did not enjoy, but the few themes that it had, it tied up really well in that final scene.
Yes, I agree.
That's why like that final scene just like works, and
And like even just the shopkeeper coming to like play tennis.
Yeah.
And like those little tiny moments that just sort of like tie it up in a bow. Yeah.
So it sets you off with some good feelings,
and that's why you went up a half point.
Well,
that's
anyway.
why I went up a half point.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I think I also began the movie at a 2.
I'm surprised.
And I was almost like, should I tell Albert not to watch this?
Wow.
But then by the end I was like, you know what? That was still cute.
Yeah.
That was still cute.
Yeah, I think I'm still glad I watched it for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
the
also
performances were good, like you said.
Yeah, and it's also like an indie film, so it's great to support that kind of thing.
It's true.
So I would say for that alone, just watch it to support it. But definitely mileage may vary. If you like the humor, I think you'll love this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fantastic in a lot of other ways. So, all right. Well, let us know what you thought if you watched it.
And you can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Letterboxd, or Apple Podcasts.
And join us next time as we continue our quest for the 5th star.